20 classic movie scenes that were never meant to happen. You talking to me? I'll have what she's having. Here's Johnny. The movie moments we can't stop quoting, many weren't even supposed to exist. The most iconic scenes in film history often emerged from chaos. Actors going rogue, equipment failures, on-set accidents, and last-minute inspirations that transformed good movies into unforgettable ones. These legendary moments weren't carefully planned by visionary directors. They were happy accidents, improvised lines, and split-second decisions that somehow captured lightning in a bottle. From bloody noses that kept rolling to props that malfunctioned into movie history, here are 20 classic movie scenes that were never meant to happen, but thank God they did. Number 1, The Bloody Proposal, Chinatown, 1974.
I said I want the truth!
One of cinema's most disturbing moments happened because Jack Nicholson couldn't control his temper. During Chinatown's confrontation between Jake Gittes and Evelyn Mulray, director Roman Polanski wanted Nicholson to slap Faye Dunaway lightly during their intense argument. Instead, Nicholson got carried away and hit Dunaway hard enough to draw blood from her nostril. Rather than cut, Polanski kept cameras rolling as Dunaway, in genuine shock and pain, delivered her devastating revelation. "She's my sister and my daughter." The real blood running down her face heightened the scene's emotional violence, creating a disturbing visual that perfectly captured the film's noir brutality. Dunaway was furious after the take, reportedly screaming at Nicholson and Polanski, but the footage was too powerful to discard. The bloody slap became one of film's most shocking moments, a disturbing scene made more unsettling because the actress's pain wasn't just acting. Number 2, You Talking to Me? Taxi Driver, 1976.
You talking to me? Talking to me?
Martin Scorsese's script for Taxi Driver simply read, Travis talks to himself in the mirror. That's it. No dialogue, no direction, just a bare-bones prompt that Robert De Niro transformed into cinema history. When cameras rolled, De Niro stood before the mirror and began improvising, drawing from a Bruce Springsteen concert he'd recently attended where the musician asked the crowd, "You talking to me?" Between songs, De Niro created the film's most iconic sequence on the spot. "You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here." Scorsese was so stunned by what he was watching that he didn't call cut, letting De Niro continue his improvised monologue as long as possible. The scene not only defined Travis Bickle's character, but became one of the most quoted moments in film history, all because a director trusted his actor enough to leave the script blank. Number 3, The Dress Blowing Up, The 7-Year Itch, 1955.
Oh, do you feel the breeze from the subway? Isn't it delicious?
Hundreds of stunned onlookers created Hollywood's most iconic image. When Billy Wilder planned the famous scene where Monroe stands over a subway grate as a passing train sends her white dress billowing upward, it was originally meant to be a quick shot with minimal exposure. The script described it simply as, "Dress blows up slightly." What happened instead made cinema history. On September 15th, 1954, Wilder decided to turn the simple shot into a media event, filming on Lexington Avenue in New York with hundreds of spectators and photographers watching. As Monroe stood over the grate, her dress didn't just blow up slightly, it flew up repeatedly, creating the now legendary image. Monroe's then husband, Joe DiMaggio, who was on set that day, became so enraged by the public display that he stormed off. Their marriage, already troubled, ended just weeks later, partially due to this incident. The publicity photos from this shoot became more famous than the actual film footage, which was tamer by comparison. Wilder ultimately had to reshoot the scene on a closed Hollywood set because the New York crowd noise made the original audio unusable. What began as a simple visual gag transformed into the defining image of Monroe's career and perhaps the most recognizable single frame in cinema history, all because a director decided to make a spontaneous publicity stunt out of what should have been a routine shot. Number 4, Here's Johnny, The Shining, 1980.
Here's Johnny!
A British director almost cut the film's most famous line because he didn't get the joke. During The Shining's iconic door-chopping scene, the script simply instructed Jack Nicholson to call out, "Wendy, I'm home." Instead, drawing on his improvisational skills, Nicholson channeled Ed McMahon's famous introduction of Johnny Carson on The Tonight Show and bellowed, "Here's Johnny!" Kubrick, being British and unfamiliar with American television, initially didn't understand the reference. He nearly cut it until American crew members explained its cultural significance. Recognizing its perfect blend of the comical and menacing, Kubrick kept it in the final cut. The improvised moment became the film's signature scene and one of the most recognizable quotes in movie history, all because an actor reached for a random TV catchphrase during a moment of inspiration. Number 5. The Flying Champagne Cork. Casablanca, 1942. A prop malfunction created one of cinema's wittiest moments. In Casablanca, when Captain Renault, Claude Rains, closes Rick's Cafe, he orders champagne before delivering the iconic line, "I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here." The script called for Rains to open the champagne while delivering his dialogue. Struggling with the cork during filming, Rains accidentally sent it flying off camera with a loud pop. Without missing a beat, he improvised, looking toward the sound and ordering, "Oh, please, Major, round up the usual suspects." Director Michael Curtis immediately recognized the happy accident enhanced the scene's hypocrisy and comedy. The champagne cork incident stayed in, creating a perfect visual punctuation to one of the film's most memorable exchanges, all because an actor cleverly covered a prop mishap. Number 6, Here's Looking at You, Kid, Casablanca, 1942.
He's looking at you, kid.
Card Games Between Takes gave us cinema's most romantic line. Humphrey Bogart's immortal farewell to Ingrid Bergman was never in the script. It came from their off-camera relationship, where Bogart spent time between scenes teaching Bergman how to play poker. Whenever she had a good hand, he would say, "Here's looking at you, kid," a common gambling expression of the era. When filming the Paris flashback scenes, Bogart spontaneously incorporated the phrase, "as Rick says goodbye to Ilsa." Director Michael Curtis recognized how perfectly the line captured their relationship and kept it. Bogart then added it again during the airport farewell scene, cementing it as one of cinema's most memorable lines. What began as casual banter during Card Games Between Takes became the emotional core of one of Hollywood's greatest love stories. The improvised line perfectly captured Rick's character, a gambler in life and love, while creating a verbal motif that linked the couple's past and present partings. Number 7, I'm Walking Here, Midnight Cowboy, 1969. A real New York cab nearly hit Dustin Hoffman and created movie history. While filming on a busy New York intersection, director John Schlesinger opted to shoot with hidden cameras to capture authentic city atmosphere. The production couldn't afford to close down the street, so actors Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight had to navigate real Manhattan traffic. During their conversation, a real taxi driver, unaware a movie was being shot, ran a light and nearly struck Hoffman mid-scene. Staying completely in character as Ratso Rizzo, Hoffman slammed the cab's hood and shouted his now famous line, "I'm walking here, I'm walking here." After the initial outburst, Hoffman brilliantly transitioned back into dialogue with Voight, adding, "Actually, that ain't a bad way to pick up insurance, you know." Schlesinger was amazed by Hoffman's quick thinking and kept the unscripted encounter in the film. The near accident captured New York's chaotic energy better than any stage scene could have, and gave American cinema one of its most quintessentially New York moments. Number 8, The Real Slap, Gone with the Wind, 1939. A director's secret instruction created Vivien Leigh's most authentic reaction. After multiple unsatisfactory takes of the confrontation between Rhett Butler, Clark Gable, and Scarlett O'Hara, Leigh, director Victor Fleming took a controversial approach. Frustrated by the scene's lack of emotional power, Fleming secretly instructed Gable to actually slap Leigh for real during the next take, without warning her. When cameras rolled again, Gable delivered a genuine slap that caught Leigh completely by surprise. Her shocked, hurt reaction, a mixture of authentic pain and professional commitment to stay in character, gave the scene the emotional impact Fleming had been seeking. Leigh was furious after filming, feeling betrayed by both Gable and Fleming. However, the footage was so powerful that it remained in the final cut, creating a moment of genuine emotional violence that audiences still find shocking decades later. The controversial directing technique would be considered completely unacceptable today, but it created one of the most authentic reactions in classic cinema, a moment where the line between acting and reality momentarily disappeared. Number 9, The Broken Glasses, It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. A forgotten prop created Jimmy Stewart's most gut-wrenching scene. During the pivotal moment where George Bailey reaches his breaking point at the bar, Stewart was supposed to reach into his pocket, find his daughter's flower petals, and break down crying. But the prop man forgot to put the petals in Stewart's pocket before the take. When Stewart reached into his empty pocket, genuine confusion crossed his face. Rather than call cut, director Frank Capra let the cameras roll as Stewart, just back from World War II and struggling with his own post-traumatic stress, channeled his real emotional fragility into an improvised breakdown. Stewart began to sob uncontrollably, a far more intense reaction than scripted. His line, "I'm not very good at this," wasn't acting. It was Stewart acknowledging he was losing control. Capra kept the cameras rolling, capturing what many consider the most authentic emotional breakdown in classic cinema. A prop man's error created the space for genuine emotion to emerge, resulting in the film's most powerful moment and arguably Stewart's finest screen performance. Number 10, The Mirror Smash, Citizen Kane, 1941. Real blood and pain fueled cinema's most intense tantrum. When Charles Foster Kane discovers his wife has left him, Orson Welles was supposed to methodically trash her bedroom in controlled rage. Instead, genuine accident transformed the scene into something far more disturbing. During filming, Welles's hand got caught in a cabinet drawer, causing serious pain. Instead of stopping, Welles channeled the genuine pain into unscripted fury, wildly destroying the set beyond what was planned. When he reached the dressing table mirror, he smashed it with such force that he severely cut his hand, causing real blood to flow. Cinematographer Greg Toland kept filming as Welles, now in genuine pain and anger, staggered past the camera with blood dripping from his lacerated wrist. The injury required stitches after the scene wrapped. The unplanned destruction and real injury created a scene of devastating emotional and physical intensity that perfectly captured Kane's breaking point. What began as an accident became one of cinema's most authentic depictions of rage, all because a first-time director refused to break character despite genuine pain. Number 11, The Pottery Wheel Scene, Ghost, 1990.
I'll be coming home, wait for me.
A hastily conceived scene with borrowed music became an iconic romantic moment. With filming already underway, director Jerry Zucker realized Ghost lacked a scene establishing the deep physical connection between Sam, Patrick Swayze, and Molly, Demi Moore. The script had no suitable sequence to make his death emotionally impactful. In desperation, Zucker and screenwriter Bruce Joel Rubin hastily conceived the pottery wheel scene. They needed music for the sequence but had nothing prepared. The property master happened to have a Righteous Brothers tape in his car, and Unchained Melody was selected purely because it was readily available. What was meant as a quick solution to a narrative problem became the film's defining sequence, spawning countless parodies and forever linking pottery with sensuality in popular culture. The temporary music track proved so perfect it became inextricably associated with the film. A scene created as an afterthought to fix a story issue transformed into one of cinema's most recognizable romantic moments, proving sometimes the best ideas are the ones you scramble to find at the last minute. Number 12, I'll Have What She's Having, When Harry Met Sally, 1989.
I'll have what she's having.
An elderly woman's one-liner saved a scene that almost ended too soon. The script for the famous deli scene originally ended with Sally's fake orgasm and Harry's embarrassed reaction. There was no punchline, no final comment from another customer, just an awkward silence between the main characters. During a script read through, director Rob Reiner's 70-year-old mother, Estelle, piped up with a suggestion. After Ryan's performance, an older woman customer should deadpan, "I'll have what she's having." The room erupted in laughter. Reiner was so confident in his mother's comic instinct that he cast Estelle to deliver the line herself, creating one of comedy's most perfect button moments. A scene that could have ended with Ryan's performance was elevated to legendary status by an elderly woman's unexpected comic timing. The improvised line consistently ranks among the American Film Institute's top movie quotes, proof that sometimes the best ideas come from outside the writer's room and occasionally from your mom. Number 13, The Flying Fruit, The Godfather, 1972. Scattered produce accidentally created the film's most colorful violence. Just before filming Sonny Corleone's attack on his brother-in-law Carlo, a prop man spontaneously decided to scatter fruit on a display stand near the fight, thinking it might add visual interest to the background. When James Caan improvised grabbing a garbage can lid as a weapon during the brawl, he accidentally knocked over the fruit stand. Bright oranges, apples, and lemons went flying across the screen, creating a vivid visual contrast to the brutal violence. Director Francis Ford Coppola immediately saw how the splashes of color enhanced the scene's visual impact. The flying fruit became one of the film's most striking elements, a happy accident that elevated a standard fight scene into something visually memorable. The scattered produce also inadvertently created one of the film's subtlest motifs. Oranges appear in several scenes preceding character deaths throughout the trilogy, becoming a visual harbinger of doom that began entirely by accident. Number 14. The Dueling Banjos, Deliverance, 1972. A non-musician's hands created the film's most unsettling musical moment. When director John Boorman cast Billy Redden as the banjo-playing boy for the famous musical Duel, he did so based entirely on the child's distinctive appearance. Only after casting did Boorman discover Redden couldn't play a single note on the banjo. Rather than recast, Boorman improvised a solution. He had a real musician hide behind Redden, threading his arms through the boy's sleeves to finger the banjo strings. Meanwhile, Redden was taught to move his picking hand in rough synchronization with the music that would be added later. This awkward workaround gave the scene its eerie, unsettling quality. The strange visual of Redden's seemingly impossible finger movements and blank expression added to the sequence's backwoods menace in a way no conventional musical scene could have achieved. A casting problem accidentally created the film's perfect tone setter, establishing the uncanny, disturbing atmosphere that would permeate the entire story. Number 15. The Glass Cut, Django Unchained, 2012.
Lay your palm flat on that tabletop!
Leonardo DiCaprio sliced his hand open and kept the scene going with his own blood. During the dinner confrontation where Calvin Candy, DiCaprio, becomes enraged, the actor accidentally smashed his hand into a crystal glass, severely cutting his palm. Real blood immediately began pouring from the wound. Instead of stopping, DiCaprio stayed completely in character, incorporating the injury into his performance. He continued his monologue while blood streamed down his hand, even smearing it across Kerry Washington's face in a moment of improvised menace. Director Quentin Tarantino, recognizing the raw authenticity of the moment, kept cameras rolling. The injury required medical attention immediately after the scene wrapped, but the take with DiCaprio's real blood made the final cut. The unplanned injury elevated an already tense scene to something viscerally disturbing, all because an actor refused to break character despite genuine pain. Number 16. The Mistaken Restaurant, Goodfellas, 1990.
It's just funny. It's funny, you know, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how? I mean, what's funny about it?
A terrifying true story from Joe Pesci's life became the film's most tense scene. The funny how? Sequence wasn't in Nicholas Pileggi's script or any early drafts. It emerged during rehearsals when Pesci told director Martin Scorsese about a real incident from his youth. While working in a restaurant, Pesci had unintentionally insulted a connected wise guy by telling him he was funny and nearly paid with his life. Scorsese immediately recognized the story's potential to capture mob life's knife-edge unpredictability. Rather than writing formal dialogue, he had Pesci and Ray Liotta improvise the entire exchange, telling only Pesci how the scene would unfold. The other actors' reactions to Pesci's sudden menace were largely genuine. The improvised scene, with its stomach-churning shift from camaraderie to danger and back again, became one of cinema's most tense moments and a perfect illustration of how quickly situations could turn deadly in mob circles. A casual anecdote shared during rehearsal captured the essence of gangster life more effectively than any scripted scene could have. Number 17. You're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat, Jaws, 1975.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
A running joke about cheap producers became cinema's most quoted line. Throughout the troubled production of Jaws, crew members would sarcastically comment, "You're gonna need a bigger boat," whenever something went wrong, a reference to the inadequate support vessel the producers had provided for the ocean shoot. When filming the scene where Chief Brody, Roy Scheider, first sees the shark, the script called for a shocked reaction, but no specific dialogue. Scheider, remembering the crew's inside joke, improvised the now famous line. Steven Spielberg immediately recognized how perfectly it captured both Brody's character and the audience's reaction to finally seeing the enormous shark. The throwaway crew complaint became the film's signature quote and one of cinema's most instantly recognizable lines. Number 18, the improvised interrogation, The Silence of the Lambs, 1991.
Ham-handed segue into your questionnaire. It won't do.
Nobody told Jodie Foster that Anthony Hopkins wasn't going to blink. When filming began on The Silence of the Lambs, Hopkins made a spontaneous decision to deliver his dialogue without blinking, creating an unnervingly reptilian quality for Hannibal Lecter. Director Jonathan Demme hadn't instructed this approach. It was entirely Hopkins' creation. Foster's increasing discomfort during the scene was genuine. She was truly unsettled by Hopkins' unblinking stare. When Hopkins added the disturbing hissing sound after his line about eating a census taker's liver, it was another improvisation that wasn't in the screenplay. These unscripted choices became defining aspects of Lecter's character, helping Hopkins create one of cinema's most memorable villains, despite having only 16 minutes of screen time. An actor's experimental choices on the first day of shooting created a character so distinctive and disturbing that he remains cinema's definitive serial killer decades later. Number 19. The Unscripted Slap, The Princess Bride, 1987.
What is it? You have 6 fingers on your right hand. Someone was looking for you.
An accidental hit led to genuine revenge between actors. When filming Wesley's confrontation with Count Rugen, Christopher Guest accidentally struck Cary Elwes with genuine force during a sword scene, causing visible pain. Director Rob Reiner loved the authentic reaction and wondered if they could replicate it for Wesley's revenge moment. For the scene where Wesley delivers his "that was just to the left of where my heart would be" line, Elwes decided to genuinely slap Guest rather than mime the action. The unexpected force created a perfectly authentic reaction from Guest, a mixture of shock, pain, and fear. What began as an accidental blow became a purposeful one, with Elwes later admitting he hit Guest harder than necessary as minor payback for the earlier pain. The real impact created one of the film's most satisfying moments of villainous comeuppance. Number 20, The Briefcase Contents, Pulp Fiction, 1994.
We have
A lighting problem gave us cinema's most debated mystery. When shooting scenes where Jules and Vincent opened Marcellus Wallace's briefcase, Quentin Tarantino faced a practical problem: how to light the actors' faces with a warm glow. The script never specified what was actually in the case. Tarantino hadn't decided. The solution? The property master simply placed an orange light bulb inside the case. The combination lock was set to 666 as a casual demonic reference. There was no deeper meaning intended, just a practical solution to a lighting challenge. This technical workaround created one of cinema's most enduring mysteries. For decades, fans have developed elaborate theories about the briefcase contents, soul-selling deals, nuclear material, even Wallace's extracted soul. The truth? It was just a light bulb that looked good on camera. Sometimes the most fascinating cinematic moments aren't created through careful planning, but because a director never bothered making a decision at all. They didn't plan it, they didn't write it, but we never forgot it. That's what makes a moment immortal. From Marilyn's billowing dress to DiCaprio's bleeding hand, cinema's most unforgettable scenes often emerged from chaos. A forgotten prop, a misunderstood joke, a genuine slap, a real taxi nearly hitting an actor. These lightning strike moments remind us that while directors plan meticulously and writers craft every word, sometimes movie magic happens when everything goes wrong, when actors forget lines and improvise better ones, when equipment fails and creates accidental beauty, when real pain, surprise, or inspiration transforms good scenes into legendary ones. The next time you watch a classic film, remember, the moments you can't stop quoting weren't crafted in writers' rooms, but emerged spontaneously from the beautiful mess of filmmaking. If you enjoyed this look behind cinema's greatest accidents, hit subscribe for more film secrets, and drop a comment telling us which unplanned movie moment is your favorite.